We are recording.
All right, hallelujah. So now, last Shabbat we spoke about Genesis chapter 11. So now we're up to Genesis chapter 12. But before we start, we're gonna read from basically we're gonna start 5 verses at a time. So who would like to read 5 verses? Who would like to read the first five verses? All right. So before you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Before we read the first 5 verses, we're gonna basically talk about before what happened in Genesis chapter 11, when it talks about how we were reading about how basically in the time of Babylon, the time of Nimrod, different languages occurred, the Tower of Babel, different things was happening. So now Yah is going to we're going to go to Genesis chapter 12. We're going to break down the promises of Abraham. So the world was confused, different languages, and they were worshiping one God, the mighty one of Nimrod. So we worship the elements and things like that. So now we're going to go back to Abraham, which Yah is telling Abraham to get out of Chaldea, a place of basically people were worshiping different elements, different idols and things like that. So now Yah is telling Abraham to get out of that place, to get out of this land into a new beginning. So we're going to start from Genesis chapter 12. Go ahead, Brother Rick.
Hallelujah. Now Yahuwah said to Abraham, or Abram, get out of your country and from your kindred and from your father's house unto a land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will barak you and make your name great, and you shall be a baraka, or a blessing. And I will barak them that bless you, and curse them that curse you. And in you shall all families of the earth be baruch, or blessed. So Abram departed, as Yahuwah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abram took the Aleph Tav, Sarai, which is his covenant wife, with him, and his Aleph Tav, his brother, son, and Aleph Tav, all of their substance that they had gathered, and the Aleph Tav, the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan, and they came.
All right. Praise Yah. So, Brother Rick, what you see, Brother Rick?
Well, I see this is the beginning of when he's calling him out and revealing to him that he's got something greater for him, that he needs to trust in him, and that he needs to gather what Yahuwah has already given him. And I see these as where the Aleph Tavs are, as we know, these are the covenant symbols that he's made. So he's given him his covenant wife. He's also given him his covenant brother's son, and all of the covenant substances that he's given him, the baraka that he's given him. And he even says the Aleph Tav, the souls, I guess that would be those that he had gathered unto himself, those that were walking with him. These were all given to him in covenant as well. And so at this point, he's preparing him for this journey, and I think he's preparing his mindset that it's time for him to gather up all that he's already been given, and preparing for this journey that he's about to go on, to go to this land that he's promised him. So, and I also see it interesting that he says that I will bless you and your great name, and that you will be a blessing, and that he also uses this where if somebody blesses you, they'll be blessed. If they curse you, then they're going to be cursed. And that this is where his promise comes, but all the families of the earth will be blessed because of him. And that's the covenant, or the renewed covenant that we're walking under now, with Yahusha. So this is the very beginning of what we are living today. So that's pretty much what I see out of those first 5 verses.
Praise Yah. Well, you didn't have to. I mean, you said a lot right there. You just needed one verse, but you said a lot right there. But I appreciate it, man. Brother Dom, who's that? Dom. Let me see. Can you hear? Let me see. Brother Dom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was gonna say, wasn't we still on chapter 11? Because I know we was on the chapter last week, but we didn't finish the whole thing. I
Oh,
think it
we
was
did?
yeah, I think it was chapter 11. We only got up to like 9 verses. We
Mm.
were stuck on those 9 verses.
Let me see, chapter 11. You know what? I mean, I actually left early, so that's what I'm asking. So is that true? I mean, because the thing is, Jadiel, I called Jadiel, he said chapter 12, so I left early that time. So if it's basically 9 verses.
He's correct. I do remember
Correct.
that because we only got through the first few verses, and I was supposed to read next, but I didn't get a chance because we.
All right, then my apology.
So that's good
And
catching up.
and another thing, what is the Aleph Tav that I hear you guys say that a lot? What is that?
Well, the Aleph Tav is you heard Alpha Omega, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's Greek. Aleph Tav is the Hebrew. It's the first and the last letter of the alphabet, if you will, the Hebrew alphabet. And
Okay, gotcha.
so it's also the beginning and the end, as you hear Scripture speak. But that also, when you see those together, and there's only a couple of scriptures that actually have restored them back to where they were in the original scriptures, and they were left out of all the English translations, basically. But
Okay.
what I've concluded that means through studying this and some other people's studying of that particular subject, I believe it's a covenant symbol, the Aleph Tav, that represents the Father and the Son. So the Aleph is the Father, the Tau is the Son, you know. So,
All right.
so wherever you see it in there, it's basically, I see it as a covenant symbol that Yahuwah is made with basically whoever or whatever he's talking about.
Okay.
All right, great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Brother Dom. So
Yeah, no problem.
I guess we have to continue to verse 9 now. So my apologies. So Brother Rick, I think we're gonna have to start over with Genesis 11, verse 9.
All right, not a problem. I'll go back and read that. Actually, it's 10. I think is where we left where we need to start off from. I think we ended at 9.
Yeah, it was 10. We got to start off by.
All right, my apology. Thanks a lot, man, Brother Dom.
All right, so Genesis 11, verse 10. See, so are we still doing 5s you want to do?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Aleph Tav, Arphaxad, 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begot the Aleph Tav, Arphaxad, 500 years. And he begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 530 years and begot Aleph Tav, Shalak. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Aleph Tav, Shalak, 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Shalak lived 30 years and begot Aleph Tav, Eber. And Shalak lived after he begot Aleph Tav, Eber, 403 years and begot sons and daughters.
All right. So a lot of begotten right there. A lot of begotten.
Well, and there's a lot of years that they lived after they begot. You know, I think it's interesting how many years they lived, and that was after the flood. Is the count where this begins? So that's interesting.
Yeah.
How many years they actually lived? I wonder when the transition of these years actually happened, where we are now at. I think the number of man is at 120 years. I believe is where we're at. So it's kind of declined from there, but every one of these seemed to have hundreds of years. I can't imagine that.
Yeah. So it seems like things are declining. The age of man are declining after the flood, because I know before the flood, people were living a lot longer.
Yeah, like 900 years, I think.
So now,
some of them. So, but yeah, that's interesting how they all begotten each other, and it'd be interesting to see what each one of these names that were spoken, how they relate in different areas of Scripture, what maybe tribes that they had established and such. which I don't have that information for sure. So maybe something else we can look into as we go through this.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know why that. Sometimes I wonder why is the age declining, because it was happening before they were living a lot longer. So now something happened where after the flood, age started declining. So what do you think is the pivotal point? Why do you think age is declining at this time?
That's a great question. Well, those that were living before the flood, they definitely lived a lot longer than those that came after them. So there was a shift that took place, whether it was, I don't even know how to speculate against that one. What could have happened that changed?
Just a question. I mean, I'm just trying to see what, you know.
Atmosphere, some things that changed after the flood came that changed the atmosphere, the food, what they were eating. You know, maybe that was part of the, I don't want to say curse, but the change that took place upon man after, you know, he replenished the earth again. Maybe he figured it wasn't good to keep us living so many years, you know, that we could get corrupted a lot easier, maybe living that long. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm curious to see what other people's thoughts are on that.
For sure. That's a lot. Brother Dom. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, it could just be a result, you know, from sin, because you know, in Genesis he said when after Adam sinned that the ground was cursed. So I was just thinking maybe that could be the case for, you know, our ages, for our ages to be in decline.
Well, there was many years after Adam that men lived hundreds of years still, up until the time of the flood. But I do agree with you, the cursing of the ground. Maybe that's what I was talking about with the food and stuff and the environment, maybe.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be like the times of Noah, you know. So, and you know, we could definitely see that, you know, sin has become definitely worse now. So,
but at the same time, it's a new beginning, though. You know what I'm saying? It's a new beginning. So that's why I was wondering, like, you know what I'm saying? Because the world was wiped out already. And now this is Noah, you know what I'm saying? And his 3 children. So this is a new beginning. So I'm thinking things will start fresh. You know what I'm saying? Things will start fresh. Maybe still it will continue from the time of before. But now time is changing. Maybe now, you know, maybe Yahuah knows that things are going to get worse. I don't know. The curse, you know, maybe the curse of the ground, possibly. So, I mean, it was it was a question that I thought about. Because you know, everything starts new.
Did he reestablish his covenant with man? Maybe at that time too, when he after the flood, you know, with the new agreement at that point, could that be part of it? Maybe that he's readjusted the covenant with man so they don't live as long. I don't know. That's a good question.
Possibly. Let's see what Brother Nate have to say.
Yeah, I'd say it would be sin affecting on the planetary level. You know, I think there's a lot of people that would argue that the atmosphere is different then and now, but you know, how can we prove that? You can, you know, and whatnot. But we definitely see a lot of changes, you know, from the flood afterwards, of the men living shorter. But I think that is maybe something had to do with the sin on the planetary level. But again, you know, it's tough to speculate on that. But one thing is for sure, that the rapid, you know, decline of the human lifespan after the flood is pretty quick in generational terms.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of I think it could be many reasons, but I think that's probably one of it too. There's many discussion about it. The reality is that you know, sin. So I mean, that's a good understanding. So I mean, I really believe it has to do with that. I mean, because what, you know, Adam sinned, and then things start increasing. It changes. The world, the earth was cursed. Man was getting more wicked. Yah came down and flooded the world again. So maybe he felt like, you know what, maybe it was time to just change this. It's the same covenant, but you renew it, and to basically making sure that, you know, those things that, you know, would not occur again, but it did occur again. But he has a better plan and understanding of this. But I do believe it has to do with sin, though, for sure. Brother JP.
Yeah, I was thinking about talking about the earth and stuff, and see that in Genesis 7:11 it says that it says in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And I believe that would be something to talk about the atmosphere changing. It seems at the time there wasn't maybe as much water on the earth or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we got more water on the earth. And so it could have changed the environment and the way it was so perfect before the flood. It was perfect. The earth didn't, there was not even rain, right? There was not even rain before. The plants were just getting watered, through the ground, and it was just amazing. And then the next verse that kind of concludes it was Genesis 8:2. It says, again, the fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. So I don't know, I just think that something happened within that time, with all the water coming from the sky, the windows opened, and then all the waters bursting from underneath the ground. So there was more land, it seemed like. You know what I mean? It seemed like the land was just covered. The earth was covered with land, and there was probably just streams and little rivers. But then we got oceans or something. I don't know. That's just my speculation from that, reading those two scriptures, to show that the atmosphere changed, because the only way for us to have rain today now, scientifically, if we talk science, it would be that the clouds pull up the water off the ground, and then they travel and they rain somewhere else. That's science. I know that, not everybody might agree with science, but, it shows that how the magnificence now of Yahuwah's creation, how he continually is so perfect in things. You know what I mean? Even after the flood, it still works in a cycle. He created in a cycle of still living. So that was my understanding of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point, brother. Appreciate it. Like I said, there's many different understandings. There's so many thoughts of it. Like a lot of things of this what happened in Genesis 11. We can all put our thoughts and opinions about it, but to me, it makes a lot of sense. Having those views, because we got to open our minds, we got to open our thoughts to these views, because there's a possibility of all these things. Because the truth is, the earth did change. Something did change. Something did happen drastically. You understand? Something did happen drastically that Yah was like, you know what? I got to do something different to be able to this covenant or this blessing of this name is to be declared throughout the world. So I do believe, me personally, I did my research. I think the earth was probably, separated or divided. Because I believe that one time the world was together, the earth was together, the land was together. So I think it was Yah's plan. Because the Bible says that I'm going to spread my people to the four corners of the world. So I believe it's part of Yah's plan to do that, so his gospel, so his word can be spread through all four corners of the world. So to me, that was his master plan, I believe, from the beginning, that he wanted that to happen, Anybody else? Amana?
Yes, I basically just wanted to, I'm just speaking still yet on what we were already talking about, and what my thought is that, I agree, and I believe that it was sin, because in the beginning, whenever the Most High, he has said, to man, be fruitful and multiply. And actually, I see how it also speaks about the beauty of Yahuwah, and how every single thing that it is that he says does exactly that which he has called for it to do. So he says, be fruitful and multiply. And so even as, man multiplied and increased, so too did everything on earth. Everything that he created, it increases. And so I will see that, yes, that's the reason why also Yahusha had said, and I don't have it pulled up, but where he said that the Father has sped up time, for the sake of those that were chosen, because every single thing that it is that he has created has no choice but to multiply and increase. And so if sin, as it increases and becomes even greater, then it's not even, Yah is not in it, and all that's left is death. And I look at that, and I still, like I said, I see the beauty of Yah and his mercy, because I don't know, just not even being able to fathom. This is the fact of he created and seen all this. He stopped his own wrath and his own anger. He's long suffering, and just being able to see his mercy in that, because he knew that all this stuff was just going to continue to keep on increasing because his word obeyed him. And so, like I said, when he said, be fruitful and multiply, everything did, and everything does. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Amon. I appreciate it. I agree with you. I mean, Yahuwah is truly merciful and long-suffering. So, I mean, he's, like I said, his goal was to basically, he wanted his name to be multiplied throughout the world, like he told Adam from the beginning. So I think, like I said early on, I think this is part of the master plan, that he was like, let's let this happen so that, everybody else can receive this understanding, receive my name throughout the four corners of the world. So he is merciful and he is gracious. Definitely. Thank you, sis. I saw somebody raise their hands. Who's that? Mike?
Yeah, I just want to add to what she was saying about his mercy, his grace. We look at how short our lives are and how much error we have and how much we've sinned and lived in rebellion. Imagine if we lived 900, 800, 700, 600 years. Imagine the amount of mercy, like I'm only 27 and I already feel so undeserving because this relatively small amount of time that I've lived and how much I've messed up, how much I'm still messing up as I'm progressing, learning and growing in my understanding. But I mean, and to see how much grace he has on me now, like imagining how much grace he had on these people, and with a 900-year lifespan, like how many times did they mess up in 900 years that he continued to have mercy and grace on them?
Praise, yeah.
That I think that's again attributing to his mercy, but also how much of a struggle it is for them, again in our own time, in our short time, even walking in Torah, how weary the walk can get sometimes, but without giving up, of course. But again, fighting this flesh for 900 years, like, then you can also kind of understand some of the mercy and grace, like, my goodness. And then living in Sodom and Gomorrah for, I don't know how long Sodom and Gomorrah is there, but imagine living in Sodom and Gomorrah for 900 years. My goodness.
Not
you
a good
gotta
thing.
have mercy and grace.
You could have fooled me, Mike. I thought you was 22.
What happened?
I said you could have fooled me. I thought you were 22 years old.
Well, I appreciate that, but no, sir.
Just imagine you're 50 years old, all the knowledge you have now.
Right? Well, no, I would hope I have more than I have now.
Praise Yah, man. Praise Yah. Brother, Sister Robbie?
Shalom. Are we in Genesis? What chapter are we on?
11, verse 15.
11, verse 15. Okay, so when you need a reader, I'll volunteer.
Well, you know what? You can read now.
Okay, Genesis 11,
5
15.
verses.
Okay, 11, 15. Here we go. After he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. Do I stop there?
Will you stop at verse 19?
Okay, sure.
Continue verse 20. Verse 20.
Okay. When Rehu lived 32 years, became the father of Serug.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Sister Arby. You
You're
have
welcome.
anything you want to mention? Any verse?
It's just talking about the nations. Now, through Eber, this is where Abraham descended. Is that correct?
That's
Oh,
right.
from Shem to Abram. Okay. No, that's it.
All right. Brother Rick, you want to share anything?
Whole lot more begotten.
A lot of begottens, right?
Right.
The last time we heard about Peleg, the last time I remember, Peleg means like something like can somebody look up the word Peleg? I think it means something about earthquake or something.
You know what I find interesting, that it names who they got, and then it goes on to say that they begot other sons and daughters, but they don't name those.
Yeah.
I wonder why. I guess that would take a lot of writing to name all of those kids, or all the offspring, but especially after 900 years or however many years, 600 years or 300 years that they lived after, I'm sure they had quite a few others.
Yeah, that's true. I think one of the reasons why, Brother Rick, is because they're highlighting the names of those that are going to lead to the genealogy leading up to the Messiah. That's one possible reason.
I agree with that. And I think another reason is that I think those names tell a story too. If we were to look at all these names, I think that there's something there that's revealing that we probably could uncover if we dug into those names and how they were listed. You know, because I have seen others that have pulled out the main names throughout the scriptures and what their meanings are, and they tell or reveal a story within themselves, just within the names. So I think that would happen.
Would a compact Bible dictionary have the definitions of the names?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Would a biblical dictionary have the definitions of the names?
Yeah, it should.
I would think so. Definitely Google will help us with that.
Google them up, huh? Yeah.
Did anybody find the name Peleg, what it means? Can't find it on Peleg. All right, can't we find it right now? It's the blue. All right, so I can't find Peleg, the definition of it, but I think I remember we was talking about it the last time. It has to do with you find it, Rick? Yeah.
I gotta unmute myself first. Okay. Oh, hold on a minute. Now it's telling me I can't do that. So let me go back here. Where was I at? There we go. All right. Peleg is a division, one of the sons of Eber, so called because in his days the earth divided. Genesis 10:25. Possibly he may have lived at the time of the dispersion of Babel. Well, more probably the reference is towards the dispersion of the two races which sprang from Eber, and the one spreading towards Mesopotamia and Syria, and the other southward towards Arabia. That's one of the definitions. Let me look at this one here.
Is the son of Eber, brother of Joktan? That's what you said.
Let's see here.
You said that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how you would.
That just tells me who he was there. I think that. Let me look at this one here. This one here tells me that it means division or dividing canal.
Okay.
Split or divide.
Mm-hmm.
Can it mean that it's going to be? Can it mean it's a physical and a spiritual division in the sense of the world was being divided, and also he's dividing his people amongst the other nations?
Yeah, I would think so, for sure. Any type of division or dividing means so. Physical, spiritual, I don't think it really matters.
Because we all know that Eber and Peleg, well, they were brothers, right? They were twins, from what I understand. They were twins. right? There were basically twins from one of the last time I read. They were twins. So now Abraham came from Eber.
Who did you
So
say?
now
Who did you say were twins?
I think Eber and Peleg. I could be wrong.
No, Eber. He begot Eber. So Eber.
I'm sorry. No,
he begot him. So Eber begot Peleg.
no, somebody else, not Peleg. Give me a second. It was somebody else had it.
So, what does Seruk? What does Ru? Is that how you pronounce that name? What does that name mean?
R-E-U?
Yeah, R-E-U.
Yeah, somebody else I was thinking about is twins. It's not Eber. But anyway, so now you see there's a separation going on between Yah's people and the world. So it sounds like the way, because Peleg means division. So it sounds like there's a division, a separation going on in the world physically. But yet then you see Peleg, who is the son of Eber, right? I believe now Abraham comes from Eber. So there's some type of, I guess, Yah, I believe that Yah is trying to do some type of separation amongst his people against the world, amongst the world. Separate them. Let me do something great, because that's the only way Yah can work, through a covenant through his people.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing.
Ru means his friend or his shepherd.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Nathan, you got something to add to this? Got your hand up there, or it just went down.
Who's that?
Nathan.
Nathan?
He had his hand up and then he just put it down just as I was speaking.
Well, you already answered the question. She asked what Reu meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, friend. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to read verse 21 to 25?
I'll read it if nobody else does.
Go ahead, Sister Robbie.
Okay. And after he became the father of Seruk, Ru lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Seruk had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Seruk lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters.
Good, thank you.
Is that it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You see anything right there, Miss Sister Robbie? Any verse?
The name Nahor sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
Yeah, the name Nahor, it means snorer. It means a snorer.
Oh, okay.
It means snorer. He was Abraham's brother. I guess he was someone that snores. I don't know. It says snore. It means snore.
Really?
And
then Terah. Okay, Terah. I remember that he had an issue with idols. He was still worshiping idols, but his son was different. He went in a different direction.
Yeah, Terah was the father of Abraham.
Yeah.
So we see the word Nahor. Nahor means snorer.
Okay.
So there's a reason why he was called Snore. Don't know why, but he was. That's what his name means. And then verse. Let me see. Terah begot Nahor. Now you see the earth. You see the age is declining still. Age is still declining as we go further on. It's not much here. It's not much here. So let's finish it off. Let's go finish it off from 25 to 32. Anybody want to read 25 to 32? Brother Zion, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
1 minute. We'll get back to it. verse
Start from 25 to 32. Yeah.
25?
Actually, 26 to 32.
All right. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram of Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah, the father of Isha. But Sarah was barren; she hold no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarah his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came into Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years. Terah died in Haran.
All right, Mike. What you see here, Mike? Anything stands out?
If I'm not, I might need to come back because I need to proof check this again. But if I'm not mistaken, Sarah was like Abraham's. They were kind of related in a way.
They were.
I do want to go back. Oh, go ahead.
I think she was his half sister.
Yeah. I do want to go back up because I think it's cool what you guys were saying about the names. Eber, which is the crossover. We got Peleg, which is to divide. Ru is, it says friend. Serug is branch. And Nahor was, it says snorting. It comes from the root word comfort, so I don't really know why.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have snore. Somebody was, so I mean, you said it come from the root comfort?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to say. Well, this one, there's two different meanings on two different apps I'm using, so I don't know. Whatever, we'll just stick with snore. And then Terah is delay. I can't link all those together, but I can go from Eber, which is the crossover, and Peleg is to divide. So he would cross over to divide Reu, which is friend or people, and Sereg, which is branch, and then Nahor, which was snorting.
I have
I
have all the names, meanings, if you want me to read through them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me go ahead. I'll start. First one that it mentions there is Arpachshad, and that name means healer. And then Shalak, means to send or to send to you, send yourself. So let's see, putting those two together. So we got the healer was sent, right, or sent to you. Eber, let's see, what was that? Oh, I got that in, let's see here. This is the one I'm looking for. Eber, come on. There it goes. This word is to pass over, to pass over. So basically we have the healer, it was sent to you to pass over. Peleg, that one, let's see, where's that one at here?
When it has to do with like the movement of the like.
That's the divide that we talked about, or division. And then the Ru, which we just spoke about that one, which basically means his friend or his shepherd. I should put all this together in just a list and read it. And then Surug, branch. Huh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nakar, that means horse or a dry or hot.
You said Nakar?
Yeah, Nakar. That means like dry or hot or hoarse from being hot. And then Tarak, that one means like a wild goat, silly old fool. Abraham, that's father, what that means.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nakar again, dry or horse. Haran, mountainous or mountaineer, a hill or a mountain. And then the final one I got here is Lot.
Lot means covering.
Mud, collection.
Or covering?
Don't see covering on here.
I see covering. I have covering.
Do you?
Yeah.
And what is the definition for Sarah is princess?
Yeah,
Is that correct? And Milcah, what is the definition for her name? Nahor's wife.
I don't have those ones. Which one is that one now?
Milcah,
Milcah.
Milcah.
Oh, Milcah, okay.
Yeah.
Let me find that one real quick.
Thank you.
It's funny it mentions Lot being the covering, because I think about Abraham. I feel like he was covered by Abraham.
Yeah. Milcah, queen or ruler.
Oh, okay. It's a nice name.
So all these names mean something. There's a reason why these people have these names. It's not because it was like, yo, I'm just going to name this.
And the order, too, I think, has something to do with how they were brought forth.
Mm-hmm. Because you mentioned Terah, right? What you said about Terah? What's name meaning?
Terah is
something fool, old fool?
Silly old fool or something. Like a wild goat.
So we all know that Terah he was working with Nimrod. He used to work for the administration of Nimrod. So he also you also make idols, statues, and all these things. So, I mean, it can, possibly the name is fitting to the type of person they will live, the type of lifestyle they live.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So he was known for that. So he denied the Mosiah and was crafting all these different idols. And we know Abraham had to leave his father's household because of that. And then you mentioned Nahor. What you say about Nahor?
Nahor is like hot or dry.
Hot or dry. So he was the brother of Abraham. So I'm not going to go to the other books, but it mentions about how he denied the Mosiah when it came to a lot of different things of what Abraham was trying to show his brother Nahor. So that's something I read. So Lot covering, he was covered by Abraham. I believe that Lot was blessed because of Abraham.
Well, certainly.
I sure was.
And now we see Sarah, she was basically half sister of Abraham. So that says a lot right there, because Abraham was a half sister of Abraham, but yet they were able to be married. So it's something that is very, so I don't know how you feel about that when it came to that, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like, at this point, it's like, can you marry your half sister? You can't, it's against the Torah, but it was allowed.
Right.
What's your views of that? Anybody?
Well, was this before the Torah when he married his half sister?
Well, this is before, of course, receiving the Torah in Mount Sinai, before Moses, but it was allowed.
Yeah, come in, Mom.
Well, I guess that procreation thing has to come in there somehow.
No, I just.
If you're limited in the people that you have, because you can, even during those times, I thought they were only able to marry within their tribe or within their
Okay.
within the community, right? Within the believers, Yasharal.
Yeah.
So if they were outside of that, so they were kind of bound to sleep with each other, which is kind of weird because it's a incest. So that is a sin afterwards, but in the beginning it was, and that's kind of strange, isn't it?
Well, Isaac married Rebecca, and they were related. You know, so it was okay by Yah at that time. It was okay.
It served the purpose of procreation, I guess, and continuing the line of the people. There's only so many of them, and somehow they were all related. If we all came from Adam and Eve, if you will, you know.
But it makes sense though, because I mean, it makes sense because they had to procreate to be able to keep it in the line. If they were outside of that, it would basically cause a lot of issues with the covenant. So it makes sense because that is the beginning of the covenant, to be able to keep it in the family bloodline.
Right. Yeah, they have to keep in the family bloodline.
So that makes sense. So, all right. So that's the end of Genesis chapter 11. We got time still to go on for Genesis chapter 12. You guys up to it?
I am.
Brother Rick, you good?
Hey, we already got the first 5 chapters covered.
All right, so let's continue on from Genesis chapter 12. So I know you actually began with Genesis chapter 12. So you was mentioning some stuff. So my apologies before. So what were you saying about Genesis chapter 12, Brother Rick?
Well, I think that basically this is when he was gathering all his, I guess by reading what we just read and going back, it makes a little more sense of all the what is actually talking about here as far as all his possessions and the souls that they had gotten. So the souls, I guess, would be those that were born unto them, possibly. The names we were just talking about.
Those of the household?
Yeah, I would think so, right? Or is there another possible meaning for the souls? Is there another? I don't have it broken down what that could mean, but I'm assuming that's what it's talking about, is the lives that they had gotten in Haran.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that it was all of those people we just talked about, or whoever he had that was given unto him, his children, grandchildren, maybe, I don't know.
You also have servants, a lot of servants.
Servants, yeah. Slaves too, I would assume, maybe, like Hagar was. Concubines, I don't know what all they could have had there, but
yeah. But what's interesting is that when you go back to verse 1, now Yah has said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and for thy kindred and for thy father's house unto a land that I will shew. So to me, this is really important when it comes to us individually, right? We all know that we came from the world. We came from the world. You see, Abraham came from a place of idolatry. He came from a place of wickedness. The Babylonians were known for worshiping the different elements. So Yah is saying, you know what? Get out of this element. Get out of this environment. Because the only way that can only work through you if you get out of this environment. So it says a lot about us when we come from the world. We need to get out of that environment, the sins and all these acts and things like that. Not to say that we're not going to be around people, but we got to set ourselves apart from the people of the things that they're doing, the wickedness. So I believe it's the same thing with Abraham. He said, get out of this place as wickedness. I have something bigger for you. I got something I'm going to give you. I'm going to help you to prosper. But you got to obey and remove yourself from all these wickedness so that I can be able to work in your life. And it says a lot when it comes to us personally. You understand?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's about being set apart. So sometimes we have to be set apart. We got to be set apart for Yah to work on our lives, for him to act, because sometimes we can't hear clear. We can't understand because of all the distraction. because
Right.
Abraham was surrounded by distraction, by wickedness.
Yes.
He heard the voice. He said, you know what? It's time to get out. Yes, said, get out. Because I
Yes,
can't
time to
work.
get out. And sometimes being set apart can be spiritual, figurative, and actually relocating, doing a geographical relocation,
I agree.
like Abram.
Brother JP?
Yeah, no, I was just trying. I wanted to go back and I found it interesting when we were speaking about verse 2. It says, "I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing." And I thought it was interesting when I looked up the word nation. According to the Strong's Concordance, it means apparently from the same root as H1465 in the sense of massing. But it says a foreign nation, hence a Gentile. Also figuratively, a troop of animals or a flight of locusts. And in the King James Version, they've used it as nation. The word itself is goi, and it means they've used it as nation, heathen, Gentiles, and people. Now, I found that interesting because, you know, a lot of times people, when they think of Abraham being the father, they think about, oh, well, it's only for like the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody who's in the Hebrew roots, quote unquote, everybody is like, oh, word, Abraham's our father. And, you know, you guys over here, no, he's not your father. You know what I mean? Like as if there's a separation. So I just found that interesting, thinking about the Gentiles and how, you know, who we were Gentiles are, you know, most people would say that, yeah, we're from a mixed race, mixed people, and how Abraham was actually the father of everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever color skin you are,
Yeah.
whatever your eyes look like, whatever you know what I'm saying, whatever continent you're from, you know. So there's no separation when it comes to these things. And, you know, you'll hear a lot of conversation about the Edomites. Oh, that you're an Edomite. We can't, you know, it's like, wait a minute. Go back, do your research, do your knowledge. You know, Abraham, if we believe he was the father of everyone, his seed is the sand of the sea. Like we're all in this together, you know.
Right.
So I just thought that was interesting, talking about nations. He was the father of, well, this one's my translation. I know
says
that
nation. It says nation.
Right. It says nation, but I thought it said somewhere else the father of many nations with the S. So maybe that was a different. I think that's a different. That's what his name means, or where is that what his name means or something? Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, Abraham did other children. He had other children by other wives.
Right.
But, you know, all these children became nations. So he is the father of many nations. But at the same time, at this moment, Yah wanted to bless him to be a nation out of it.
And that word itself, right now that we're looking at, means Gentile as well. It could be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it means that in particular, but according to the Strong's Concordance, it says a Gentile.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a hard bridge for someone to cross over. You know what I mean? Because they're really strong on their mindset of things. But even oh, good job, baby girl. Even in the even in when you go to the Blue Letter Bible, they have an outline of biblical usage. And it's pretty interesting that it says, okay, it says usually of non-Hebrew people. And that's pretty interesting in the outline of biblical usage. So again, it's something that, you know, I think people should search out and you know, search out for themselves. But I just want to always talk about not causing division, you know, not causing division in the body. So
Yeah.
Well, Abraham was the father of many nations. I mean, you got Isaac and Ishmael. You know, just those two sons alone created. I mean, because he said the same thing about Ishmael, that he was going to make him also. So you know, those two came from his lineage. So you know, however many other children came from him, we don't know. I don't think, but those two for sure, the people of promise through Isaac, and then his other son Ishmael, which we can trace that and where that goes to. So you can almost see the two lineages, if you will, today. You know, so which I believe, you know, Isaac would have to do with the Hebrew, the Yasharalites. Ishmael would be the Gentiles. You know, anybody outside of those, I would think. You know, but he put a block on them too. You know. So I think that's why it all leads back to Yahuwah and his grace and mercy. What are you going to do?
Praise Yah.
Hallelujah.
Praise Yah. Brother Mike. Mike, you here? Mike, you there?
Yeah, I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
He's 27. He forgot already.
Man.
Getting old.
Sorry.
Come back to you. All right, let's move on. Verse. Anybody would like to read verse 6 to 11? No hands.
I'll read.
Okay, Robbie, you're gonna be. Robbie said, "I'll read." Go ahead.
Okay. So from 4 to 11?
No, 6 to 11.
Oh, 6 to 11. Okay. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah at Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give the land." So he built an altar there to Yahuwah, who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. Then he built an altar to Yahuwah and called on the name of Yahuwah. Then Abram set out and continued toward the Negev. Abram in Egypt. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while, because the famine was severe. And he was about to enter Egypt. He said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are."
That's it. That's right. Verse 11. Thank you, sister.
You're welcome.
You have anything, Miss Sister Robbie?
Well, it just shows that the altar was something that was set up and something that's consistent all the way through till now. You know, the symbolism of the altar showing appreciation and respect to Yahuwah as part of expressing, you know, his belief in the covenant promise of Yahuwah. He has this altar set up, and we continue, you know, with that now, you know, figuratively speaking.
I agree. I think this altar to me represents what I believe he was doing, a sacrifice to Yahuwah, in a sense of a showing, you know, appreciation that, you know what, this is Yah he's coming to. So I think he was doing some type of sacrifice, an animal sacrifice in this altar. I guess he understood that very much of sacrifice and the altar before Yah. So I guess he had the understanding that was passed on to him. I mean, that's my thought of it. You know, what do you think, Brother Rick?
I find it very interesting as I'm reading this, this part where it says in 12:7 that Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham and said, unto your seed I will give the left top this land. And there is where he built the altar unto Yahuwah, who appeared to him. Well, other places in Scripture, even before Moshe, there's been nobody that's ever seen Yahuwah. So when he says he appeared unto Abraham, could that have been Yahusha appearing on his behalf of him? Or does that mean that it was his Ruach that was speaking to him? That's an interesting thought, that he appeared unto him. What did that mean? Did he, you know? I guess we need to look at that word appeared and see what that means. But that struck a thought in my mind about that.
So you think, I mean, like, well, it's a thought of, but you think it's like Yahusha appeared to him, or a messenger, or straight the voice of Yah? Because me personally, I think it's more, I think when I read this verse, because I always see that when it comes to Yah appearing to his people, he always uses somebody. He always is using an angel, a messenger. So even though it's a messenger, it's still Yah coming on behalf of Yahuwah. So that in the context, that verse could be used as, you know what, this is Yah speaking because of knowing that that message is coming from Yahuwah, regardless if it's the angel. They still will look at it as, you know what, this is Yah speaking. So I don't know if it's like you're saying more physically that this is Yahusha, or, you know.
I'm gonna take a look at that word real quick while we're here, but because I got to find out that interests me there, because it doesn't say Malachim or an angel or anybody else. It says Yahuwah appeared to him.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go here real quick. If you want to go with somebody else, I'm gonna pull this up and see what that word is that's there.
Yeah, Brother JP.
Yeah, I was looking, and I thought it was amazing. You know, well, for one, there was a note, you know, that it says, you know, how in 12:8, how it says, and he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And it says, there he built an altar unto Yahuwah, and he called upon the name of Yahuwah. So it's amazing, like he called upon the name of Yahuwah, and we're in Genesis chapter 12, you know, speaking about the name and the understanding of him knowing the name of the Father. And the second thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was interesting was verse 7, how it says, and Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. And there he built it an altar unto Yahuwah, who appeared unto him. So I guess the question for that one would be, what part of the seed? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going back to the understanding of how Abraham was he's had all these children, or not all these children, like, well, 3, but he has a portion, like, it's like who can we say? Because I know that's another question of division, where they're like, we're Abraham's seed, like, this is our land, but he had all kinds of children. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, for me today, I claim, and I'll say, like, Abraham was my father. Like, this is my land. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm at in America, like, you know, and wherever I stand, like, he's like, I'm going to give you land. I'm going to give you, it's just something that I just thought that was interesting, because like how was mentioned earlier, you know, Abraham, you know, had children, a lot of children. And so it's almost like, to me, I was thinking, like, he's like, Yahuwah saying, like, if Abraham is your father, and you know that this is your land, wherever you're at, where you stand, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it was something interesting like that, because, you know, I was just thinking the division portion, you know. So
Yeah.
Hold on, here it is.
I mean, that's a good point. Now, because it mentioned thy seed, so thy seed, that's singular, so it says thy seed. You know what I'm saying? So And we all know through being connected to that seed, all the nations are going to be blessed, right? So when they mentioned Abraham, thy seed, so Abraham had Isaac. That was his seed. So Isaac had Jacob. So all that's is being connected. So through being connected to that seed, which is from Abraham, because we all know that there was Abraham who was the son who received the blessing, which is Isaac, received the blessings, right? So through that being connected to that blessing, we become his children, thy seed. So now we move toward Yahusha. Yahusha being the seed, one of the, the seed of Abraham. Through him, we're going to be blessed. So to me, it's like, I think it's more of like, we already know that it's being connected to that blessings, being connected to that covenant of that seed, which is through Abraham, through Yahusha, through the spiritual understanding. So once we have the understanding, we receive Yahusha, we become one of his seeds, one of his children. So I don't know, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was really talking more literally.
Literally, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because we're seeing it in a literal sense. It says, unto thy seed will I give this land.
Okay.
And it's like, it was just amazing because I was thinking, wow, like, at that time, at this particular moment, he's telling Abraham, unto your seed, I'm going to give this land, like all this air, like wherever I send you, wherever you go. And so literally, like his children, and it's going to trickle on, is going to be. And so now we know that the world where we're at today, like how it is, all the continents, his seed is everywhere. So the land is Yahuwah's and to give, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what I was thinking more in a literal sense. And then, so I mean, I don't know. It's just, I guess a lot that's been on my mind has been about not having division within the body. And there's always a division in the body with color of skin tone or where you're at and all these things. And so I'm seeing it like there ain't no division. If you're in the body, you come from Abraham, it's one big family, when you have that understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But so that's all, brother. That's all.
All right, praise Yah.
Praise Yah. Yeah, and then during the millennial reign, we all will have our trees sitting under our own fig tree. Everyone will have land. Everyone will be able to build their own homes and not somebody else occupy your home. You will be occupying it. We will be living off the fruits of the land, everyone. And I believe that we won't have servants during that time. I know, like Abraham, they had servants and slaves. I don't think that was the original purpose of the Most High Yah for Adam and Eve to have slaves. I think he just allowed it because of the sin and corruption that came into the world. But we'll go back to his original purpose for Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, that everybody's supposed to have plenty of land, everybody's equal and we all love each other and have, complete peace and harmony.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Anyone have anything to say?
That I looked at a word up, and it means to either see, to perceive, even to have in a vision. So very well, he could have appeared to him in a vision or something to that effect where, he got his attention in that sense. So that makes more sense to me now. It doesn't necessarily mean that he physically appeared before him.
I got you. You know what? I think he did. I think it happened to Jacob, right? When Jacob was laying down and the Most High Yah appeared to him in a vision. So it could be a similar situation.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that is a good understanding. So I think it's clear. I think it's a good understanding. I'm going to continue reading for verse 12 to the end, okay? So verse 12. Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, thou my sister, and it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abraham was come into Egypt, the Egyptian beheld a woman, that she was very fair. The princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abraham well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen, and he donkeys, and menservants, and maidservants, and she donkeys, and camels. And Yah plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plague because of Sarah. Sarah's Abraham's wife. And Pharaoh called Abraham and said, what is it that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why sayest thou, she is my sister, so I may have taken her to me to be his wife? Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his man concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had. This is a very interesting verses. Now, to me, like this verse, what I get out of this, because what's interesting is this. If you study our Egyptian culture, they were very known for beauty. They were very known for all these things that, that really are, materialistic things. They will put them in positions when they see a beautiful woman, like, for example, like Sarah. They saw Sarah. She was a beautiful woman. And to put it in this high esteem, because the Egyptians was known for worshiping, they had this tradition thing for vanity and women, they were worshiping as goddesses because of their beauty. So this is what they were trying to do with Sarah's wife, because of her beauty. Abraham's wife, Sarah. Because Sarah was a princess. Not only that, she was beautiful. And not only that, she was about, 90 years old at the time. So it says a lot about her beauty, that even at that time, at that age, she was still beautiful. So that's something that stood out for me. That's it. She
really
was
powerful. Another thing that stood out for me is that some people used to say, oh, Abraham told a lie. How come he didn't just, tell the truth? Why didn't he trust in Yahuah to handle the situation for him? But it really wasn't a lie, because technically she was his sister. She was his half sister. And, he's still human. He could have prayed to Yahuah saying, oh, can you intervene in my behalf? I don't want them to take my wife. But, Yahuah allows us to be human. And he thought that would be the quickest way to handle it on his own, just to tell Sarah to tell these people that he's, their sister and brother. But then Yahuah did step in, though. He did step in, and he made sure that Sarah wasn't violated by this Pharaoh, and that he had to return her to Abraham and not leave them empty-handed. They were able to take all their material things along with them. So Yahuah always provides and delivers his people.
I agree, Sister Robbie. Not only that, if you look at Sarah, knowing that she was beautiful, you see, Yah has a way of using things that, we don't think about. Sarah was able to be put out there, and Pharaoh looked at her as beauty. Well, because of her beauty, Yah was using all these situations to bless Abraham and his household. Because the reality is, because of that, Abraham was blessed. His household was wealthy because of Sarah.
Yeah.
At the same thing, it's funny because that same example happened with Isaac. They have a similar lifestyle, Isaac and Abraham, in situation when it comes to blessings. Yah tends to use the woman, the wives, to bless the husband or the household.
Yeah.
Brother JP. Go ahead, JP.
Yeah, I was noticing how in verse 18 it says, and Pharaoh called Abraham and said, what is this thou hast done unto me? Right? So he probably acknowledged from these plagues, like something's wrong, like, and then it says, why did thou not tell me that she was thy wife? So I was just like wondering, like, how did he find this out? Like, specifically why the plagues were happening to him. because it was Abraham was his Sarah was Abraham's wife. Like, it was just interesting. Like, was he told maybe by maybe his own little sorcerers or whatever? You know what I mean? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just amazing. I was just like, I was just sitting back like, well, how did he find out? Like, I know that the plagues came on him, and it says in verse 17, and Yahuah plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So we know why he got the plagues done on him, but how did Pharaoh know that the plagues were done on him? That was a question I was kind of like thinking about right now as we read it. I was like, wow, like, so I don't know. That was just something to present.
No, that was good. It's funny because I thought I was thinking about the other one. I was thinking about Isaac because I know that Yah appeared to him in a vision, but I don't see that here. Like, how did he know? So it's a possibility that, like you just said, that somebody could have probably mentioned it to him or whatever, the words went around, or, this is Sarah's, this is his wife. So, but it doesn't say that it was Yah appeared to him in a vision or anything like that. I don't see that, but it did happen with Isaac. When Isaac was, they wanted to take one of his wives, I think it was Abimelech, and Yah appeared to him in a vision. So in this situation, I don't see this situation. Praise Yah. Anybody have any thoughts?
I remember reading somewhere, but I don't see it here. I was looking where Pharaoh asked him, why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? But then he already knew that that was his wife. So yeah, it really doesn't go into detail about that.
Well, the reality, that was his sister. And that was a serious situation before Yah. So, but at the same time, I think it was an example, that Yah wanted to really fulfill in Egypt for his glory, to plague the Egyptians, to know that he is Yah and what he does is for a reason. So,
praise Yah.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. So, any other thoughts? JP, you got something to say?
No, well, but I'll say something else. Like you said, I think it's important to say, like, how we see it in verse 20, like they blessed Abraham, and so now he's walking away in verse 20, and they sent him away and his wife and all that he had, so at the end of the day, was it a something that was going to get done already anyways? And it just seems like, I don't know, it was kind of like a way for Abraham to start his life, like go about his business in his life, and have all the donkeys that he needed, the maidservants that he needed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it was just amazing, man. So yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, it's good. That's it.
Yeah, it is amazing. But to me, this is a great to me right there. It shows a lot of the promise of Yahuah when it comes to his people. When he has a promise, when he made a covenant with us, he will fulfill his promise in whatever situation we're in. And if you look at Abraham and the situation that he was in, Yah was able to still follow his promise to no matter what situation or turmoil that we go through. He's still going to do whatever it takes to make sure that his purpose is being fulfilled. Whether it's with a woman, whether it's with a child, whatever it is, to humble the Egyptians, to humble other nations, is all for his glory, no matter what. And that is the purpose, that Yah does everything for his glory. in every situation when it comes to his people. Because the Bible, the Bible declares that, we are the apple of his eyes. So he's always going to be able to find ways to make sure that others are seeing his power and his glory through his people. And I think I see this situation.
Yeah, there's a cross-reference to what happened here in Genesis chapter 12. That's what we just read, right? Genesis chapter 20, verse 2. The same thing happened again with Abraham and Sarah. We'll get to that story later, but it's about Amalek. He took Sarah too because she was so beautiful. And Abraham did the same thing again. Abraham told Sarah to tell this person, you are my sister. And so that's what he did. And he took her, and then Amalek received a dream from Yahuah saying, you better not touch her, or you're going to be destroyed. You better give her back to her husband. And then that's when Amalek said to Abraham, why didn't you tell her she was your sister? And then that's when Abraham says, oh, well, I was afraid that you might kill me and stuff like that. And then we'll go into that more detail when we get to Genesis chapter 20. But I tell you, that woman was beautiful. She was a set apart, beautiful woman.
I agree. I think she was, the eyes, everybody was watching her. Everybody was seeing how beautiful she was. And that's what stood out. But, once again, he's awesome. He uses whatever it takes to make sure things are being fulfilled for his purpose, regardless of what situations. And I think that's a good point, Sister Robbie, that you mentioned with Abimelech and Isaac. Because Isaac, Abimelech did receive a dream, a vision of Yah, let him know, listen, you better let this woman go, or else, so, but yet he was able to respond. And yet, Pharaoh did still respond to the situation. So, I mean, it's a great scripture, it's a great example. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah, I tell you, Yah is good. He's very good, and his purpose is going to be fulfilled, because the whole purpose of them going to Canaan was to vindicate Yahuwah's sovereignty and to sanctify his name. Like we were talking about how each name has a meaning. So if each person's name has a meaning, then they would have known the meaning, the name and meaning of Yahuwah, because his name has the ultimate meaning, and it shows that he will sanctify his name. He will bring glory and honor to his name. Now, they, of course, know how to pronounce the name correctly back then, compared to how we're just doing the best we can today. But yeah, names are very important. It reveals Yah's purpose for himself.
So we gotta make sure what we name our children.
We sure
We want to name our children some crazy names now.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but anyway, this is basically the Genesis chapter 12 study. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, and Yah bless your homes. Hallelujah.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Have a good day.